Hello artists! Today we are going to start working on our ideas for a project that involves something really cool. They're called sugar skulls. They are a type of skull that is happy and colorful and has lots of different patterns on it. So even though skulls can kind of be scary and remind us of Halloween, in Mexico, they celebrate Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, which is a holiday to remember those who have died in a happy way. So the skulls are not scary, they are happy. So we are going to practice in our sketchbook. We're going to find a place that's open. You can share a page with something else, or if you have a new page, you can open up the new page. And we're going to use a pencil to practice drawing the shapes and practice some patterns. So to draw the shape, there's a couple different ways you can do it. The easiest way to do it is to draw a big round shape for the big round part of the skull, and then two lines that come down. That's where the jawbone is. It goes straight down, and then we connect it with a smiley face line. So this is just going to be a skull shape that we can practice with. So in the middle of our skull shape, so this is the middle, here's the top, here's the bottom, in the middle, we're going to draw two circles, really big circles for the eye holes. So you know our eyes aren't usually that big, but the eye holes for our skull are a little bit bigger. The last thing we can do, or the second to last thing I guess, is we can make a upside down heart for the nose. The nose hole is actually the upside down heart. If that's hard for you, flip your sketchbook over and draw it right side up, and then flip it back. And then lastly, we can draw some lines for where the teeth are. Okay? When we do our big one together as a class, I'll show you a way to make it even more detailed than this, but this is just a good way to practice. So, sugar skulls usually have something decorating the forehead. So that could be a heart shape, or you could practice some other things on the side. It could also be like a diamond shape, which is like a V with two straight lines at the top, and then it connects to the top. Kind of like I guess that would be like a base in baseball. And then you can connect there, draw some lines, and a zigzag line for the diamond. So a lot of these shapes and different ideas are also going to be on the board and on your computer to look at. So decide what you want in the middle. You could also add something funky like maybe some wings to the side. Totally up to you, that's kind of random. Or you could do a lot of sugar skulls will have flower shapes, or roses, which are like a spiral shape like that, because it's a happy skull. Bright things like flowers are really great for this. So maybe I'll do like a rose shape on the cheek over here. So this doesn't have to be a case, but usually whatever is on one side, you should put on the other side too, so it has symmetry. That means it's the same on both sides. Okay, so some other things you could do is you could just add some swirling lines to decorate. If you still have room, maybe you can turn the eye socket into like a big flower. Side too. You could even draw another flower inside the eyes if you wanted to. If you have a different way that you like to draw flowers, you could draw it a different way. You could also just make up your own pattern. Like you could just do circles, maybe some circles here, maybe some dashed lines. You could make more flowers. Doing the same thing on both sides. You could do maybe more hearts, maybe some hearts around the bottom. And that is just for practice, it's just for fun, okay? So, see what I did here? I'm kind of just drawing some ideas next to it for things that I might add on my big sugar skull that we do together. So once you feel like you're ready to do a bigger one, you can go get a nice piece of paper from Mrs. Hedesheimer. So this is not regular paper that you usually would just write on for class. This is actually nice thick paper because we will eventually paint our sugar skulls. So I'm going to keep this out so I can kind of see it. And then I'm going to put it on this side so you can see it too. I am ready to draw my detailed sugar skull on this paper. So we're using a pencil, so we don't need a messy mat. But what we do need to do is make sure our name is on the back. So I'm writing Mrs. Hedesheimer and then my room number. Flip it over. Okay. So when you are drawing, never, ever, ever do I want you to feel like you have to be perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Your drawing doesn't need to be perfect either. So just take this one step at a time. And if you have a hard time, ask Mrs. Hedesheimer for help. Or if you make a mistake, you can erase it. If you don't have an eraser on the end, get a chunky eraser and erase it. Or you can just turn it into a happy accident. A happy accident is where you make a mistake, but it ends up looking really cool anyway. So try to be positive as you're drawing today. All right, so just like I said before, your skull is a big round part where your brain goes, okay? So we're gonna start with that and we're gonna make it really big. So to make sure it's really big, I'm gonna plan it out. So I'm gonna find the middle of my paper and I'm gonna draw 2 dots towards the sides. And that's just gonna make sure I know how wide I want my skull to be. So I'm gonna be this wide. Then I'm gonna make another dot towards the top. So I know I'm gonna make it tall enough to fill most of the paper. So now that I have 3 dots, I'm gonna connect my dots with a curved line, like that. And if it doesn't connect perfectly, that's okay. And I'm gonna keep going and curve it back down to my other dot so that I have a U shape. If it's hard to draw a U shape that way, you could flip it over and do it this way. So the reason I did those dots is to make sure I made it nice and big. So that's a nice big arch shape or bell shape. Now, the thing we didn't draw before is if you feel your cheeks, you actually have a bone in your cheek. It's called your cheekbone. So we're gonna draw that on our sugar skull. So to draw a cheekbone, what you're gonna do is, if you can practice on your sketchbook, we're gonna draw a C shape. And then on the other side, we're gonna draw a backward C shape, like that. So it doesn't need to be very big. So on this side, we're gonna make a C shape. And then on the other side, we're gonna make another C shape, okay? It could be a little bit bigger than that. Let's say you've made yours really tiny. Just erase the bottom of it and bring it out, down a little bit further. Now when you erase, you might still be able to see your mark from before, and that's okay because we're gonna add color later and you won't be able to see it later, I promise. Okay, now we're ready to do our jaw. So our jaw is where our mouth opens and closes and where our teeth are. So to do our jaw, I'm gonna bring in my cheekbone a little bit further. So go ahead and do that too. Take your C shape and bring it in a little bit. Not too far, just a little bit like that. Now we can do our jaw bone. So we're gonna have 2 straight lines that come down. So from here, another straight line that comes down. Then from here, a straight line that comes down. Okay? And if you feel like that's way too close to the bottom, or to the middle, I should say, then go ahead and draw another line that's farther and erase it. So we're never starting over, even if you feel like you made a mistake. You're never really starting over, you're just making adjustments if you feel like you need to. Again, you can still see my erased marks, but that's okay because we're gonna add color. All right, now we're gonna connect the bottom of our jaw for where our teeth are. So we're gonna make a smiley face line to connect the bottom of our jaw, just like that. Okay. So if you ran out of space there, you can stop. But if you want to draw your bottom teeth, you could do that too. To draw your bottom teeth, you're going to draw another straight line next to this one. So I'm going to move over a little bit and draw another straight line next to this one that's a little bit further down. There's another one that goes next to it. It's a little bit further down. And then I'm just going to connect it again to make the bottom, okay? And then if you did this, can, okay, so let's say you didn't draw that. We're gonna draw our teeth now by just drawing some straight lines. We're gonna start with one in the middle, and then one in the middle of that, and one in the middle of that. Then we're gonna draw one in the middle of those two, in the middle of those two, and maybe in the middle of this and this. So yours does not need to look exactly like mine. Remember, you don't need to be perfect. If you are like, oh no, you're going too fast, pause the video and rewind and watch again. You can also ask Mrs. Heschheimer to pause if you're watching it as a class. All right, if you drew the bottom jaw too, you're gonna extend your lines down. Like that. So yours either looks like this, or if you made your bottom jaw, it would look like that. All right, so we have another step, one more step for our teeth. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna connect these lines to make the top of our teeth. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a curved line here and connect it, a curved line here and connect it, a curved line, connect it. And we're gonna do that with all of our lines. We're gonna curve and connect, like that. Then, if you just do the top of your jaw, then you're done. If you have a bottom jaw, you're gonna do the same thing on the bottom, except this time upside down. You're gonna connect, 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 and connect. All right, so now we have the shape of our skull, and we have our jaw and teeth. So next, what we're gonna do is we are going to make our eye holes. So if you feel where your eyebrow is, you can feel where your eye hole is in your skull. And it goes all the way down to about where our cheekbone is. So that is a lot bigger than our eyes are. So when we draw the eye holes, we're gonna make them bigger than we think our eyes really are. So our eyes are always in the middle of our head. So we need to find the middle. So here's the bottom, here's the top, and I find the middle. Okay, so your eyes don't go up here. This is not the middle. This is not the middle. This is the middle. So whenever you feel like you found the middle, you can check with Mrs. Heschheimer. You're gonna draw two little dotted lines, or two little dots, so you know where that is. Okay, if you ever are not sure, just check with Mrs. Heschheimer. Once you have your two dots, you're gonna draw a big circle around them. There's one. And there's two. So those are my eye holes. Okay, and I can erase the dot now because I don't need it. And the last thing I need is my nose hole. So like I said before, your nose hole is actually the shape of an upside down heart. So if you want to challenge yourself to draw a heart upside down, go ahead. But if that's hard, flip your skull upside down. Let's draw a heart right side up this time. So in between your mouth and your eyes, you're gonna draw a heart shape. Just like that. So if you look around at your neighbors, all of your skulls are gonna look different. That is a good thing. Yours might look different than mine. It might look different than the person next to you. Theirs might look different than the person across from them. That means that your skull is unique. So give yourself a pat on the back for having a unique skull. And just like in your drawing, your skull that's inside your head is unique and different than everybody else's skull too. So don't worry if it's a little bit different than everybody else's. Okay. Whew. We're gonna take a break from our pencil and get out our Sharpie. Okay? So, this Sharpie is permanent. It is not gonna come out of your clothes. If you get a little bit on your finger on accident, that's okay, but you don't wanna get it on the table and you don't wanna get it on your clothes. So what we need to do is we need to find a messy mat or a piece of extra paper that we can put underneath. Let me grab mine. Here's a messy mat. Somebody was painting on it, but that's okay. I'm gonna put my paper on top so I don't get marker on the table. Even if you're not drawing on the table, sometimes it bleeds through the back and gets on the table. So that's why we need a messy mat. So now what we're gonna do, since we're happy with our skull shape, is we're gonna trace it. To trace, you're gonna go right over top of the lines you already made. So you worked really hard on this skull. So don't go fast, go slow to make sure you go over the same lines, okay? So I'm gonna start here and I'm gonna go really slow all the way around the top. Now look, my cap is on the back of my marker, and that makes sure I don't lose it, because if I forget to put the lid on this, it's gonna dry out. I'm going slow. I can take a break if I need to, and keep going. Take a break, keep going. If I make a mistake, that's okay. I can't erase Sharpie, but I can turn it into a happy accident. But as long as you go slow, you should be fine. If you ever make a mistake with Sharpie and you feel like you can't fix it, just go see Mrs. Hedesheimer. I will help you. So I have that line and I have this one on the inside. Yeah. Okay, so now that I outlined all of my lines, if I didn't go over my pencil lines perfectly, I can actually go back and get an eraser, or if you need a big chunky eraser, you can get one of those, and I can actually erase my pencil marks so I can't see them anymore. Now notice, when I go over my Sharpie with my eraser, it doesn't erase, which is really cool. But that means I gotta be really careful with this Sharpie. Now, if your skull is not perfect, again, get that perfect business out of here, because nobody's perfect. Okay. Woo. So boys and girls, we might be running out of time depending on how quickly you're able to get through this. However, if you still have time, you can go ahead and open your sketchbook back up and start drawing some of these patterns. But I think I'm going to stop the video here, and I'm going to do that next art class. So what we're going to do is just make sure our name's on the back. It's not wet or anything, so we're going to put this in our art folder for next time. And next time we are here, we're going to do some of our patterns with oil pastel on our skull. It's going to be a lot of fun. See you next time. Bye.